If they could figure out more ways to get people to hate on Israel, this is like a new way. Like every day they come up with a new way to make people hate Israel. The other day it was Marco Rubio is going to take away your passport if you get caught criticizing. They're going to, take away your government contracts if you don't vow to keep buying weapons. For it's unbelievable. It's like they're inventing ways to make people hate Israel, and this is just another one of them.
Speaking of censorship here, we got some updates on TikTok. According to the Wall Street Journal, TikTok is in final talks to be bought by Oracle, Silver Lake, and Andreessen Horowitz. These are the exact people you would want in charge of TikTok. TikTok, which the U.S. government moved to ban last year for allowing criticism of Israel to go viral, is reportedly in final talks to be bought by a small group of Zionist billionaires. This, by the way, is exactly what they said would happen last year. TikTok's operations, U.S. operations, would be controlled by an investor consortium including Oracle, Silver Lake, and Andreessen Horowitz under a framework the U.S. and China are finalizing, the Wall Street Journal reported on Tuesday, citing people familiar with the matter. TikTok, facing an imminent ban and under pressure from the Anti-Defamation League, hired former Israeli Defense Forces instructor Erica Mindel to, quote, develop and drive the company's position on hate speech with a focus on combating anti-Semitism. So this has been in the works for a long time. So if you guys remember last year, China, or they kept blaming China and how this is a national security issue because China is spying on us. But in fact, it's probably another country potentially that's spying on us. And also, this has been in the works for a long time. If we remember Jonathan Greenblatt last year talking about in the Israeli Knesset, talking about how important was that they capture, quote unquote, TikTok. Well, it has now been captured. This is Glenn Greenwald. Larry Ellison, the Oracle mega billionaire who has donated millions to the IDF. This is insane how a private American citizen is just donating money to the Israeli military. This is totally normal stuff. Just had his kid buy Paramount CBS to have Barry Weiss run it, and is now also trying to buy CNN, and is now buying TikTok with Andreessen Horowitz. Lucky break for Israel as its support collapses in the U.S. And in terms of the changes, it's already happening very fast. So I did some reporting on this in that last week, they rolled out a new algorithm called M2 that will block harmful and misleading content from landing on the For You page. And also, just to reiterate, the person who runs the TikTok hate speech policy is a former IDF soldier. All the timing is very convenient. Let's hear from a prominent TikToker, Zachary Faust here, who has over 1 million followers. He does not only reporting on the real estate industry, but also everything else that's going on. And he's going to explain what it is that's happening to the algorithm.
Last post on TikTok.
All right, I think we have the video working here.
Is twofold. The first reason is something you probably know. The second, you may not. The first reason is that tonight at midnight, there's going to be a new algorithm update that is called the M2 update. The M2 update is to prevent harmful and misleading content from making its way onto your For You page. This internal algorithm they'll be using to monitor all content that goes out is going to be monitoring what's being said and the sentiment within the message. And if you were to take a random stab in the dark at who is going to be running this new algorithm, who's going to be on the cybersecurity side on the back end, it will be none other than these guys that were hired within the last 12 months. Number two, the part you probably don't know about is there's a lot of rumors going around, and we'll see if it's true, that every video that's ever made its way onto TikTok is going to be put into this system to be filtered and analyzed to see if anything we've posted in the past wouldn't fall under the M2 guideline. Accounts will receive strikes, community guideline violations, and if the current rules still apply, 3 strikes can mean your account is permanently banned. So let me go ahead and use all the words. If Israel continues to run a genocide, if billionaires and elite continue to use the usury model and fractional reserve lending to sift away money from the poor to the rich, if the Epstein list and those that have already been incriminated as being a part of it continue to get away with what they've done, and as long as the entirety of the Gen Z generation continues to get gaslit by a tyrannical government that's making them seem like they just need to work harder to get what they got, even though nothing is the same, I will continue to talk about it.
That was a pretty badass little ending there. But what do you think, Jimmy? What's going on here? What are they?
Well, what's going on is exactly what Jonathan, I think Graham Greenblatt was caught saying, that if the left and the right come together, it's over for them, right? And so that's what's happening. So the youth, they've lost the youth, and that's what they're really afraid of. And that's a lot of people speculate why the Charlie Kirk was assassinated was because he was starting to turn against Israel and then Benjamin Netanyahu and turning down their bribes and becoming independent. And he is a very powerful voice. He has a network built out around the country of college kids. So everybody under 30 looks to Charlie Kirk and the conservative movement. And so this is the same thing. They have to take, all the young people are on TikTok, and this is about if they can't, I mean, even Hillary Clinton said, if we can't control the narrative, it's over for us. So that's why they're doing this. So Zionist, basically Israel's taking over TikTok, and they're going to try to wipe the site clean of any criticism, calling out the genocide and calling out Israel. And again, welcome to, this is the era of free speech that Donald Trump said he was going to usher in. So it's a joke, and I wonder what will happen to the TikTok. The thing is that TikTok's super popular, but this is just another form of censorship, and it's a censorship. If they could figure out more ways to get people to hate on Israel, this is like a new way. Like every day they come up with a new way to make people hate Israel. The other day it was Marco Rubio is going to take away your passport if you get caught criticizing. They're going to take away your government contracts if you don't vow to keep buying weapons. It's unbelievable. It's like they're inventing ways to make people hate Israel. And this is just another one of them. But so this is it. If they have to control the message, and if they can't control the message, then they have to start disappearing people.
That's exactly what they do. And here's the part that irks me the most. And I think maybe it's deliberate, maybe it's not, but it seems like, if you do censorship, maybe on behalf of the American regime, that would maybe be okay. But now it's very clear you're doing censorship on behalf of a foreign country, which is, I think, a lot of people are very uncomfortable with, and that's the part that's really peculiar about this whole thing. Is why are we doing it? Why are we so in bed with this country that seems to be abusing us? That's kind of my thought process. And these changes are happening really quick. I'm on TikTok. That's one of my largest platforms that I'm on, and you could see it happening very quickly. My 2 next videos after this M2 update was rolled out was almost immediately throttled and taken offline for community guidelines violations. They were both, videos about Israel. You can also, some people are reporting you can't even talk about the actual sale of TikTok itself. I'll pull this up right now. This is another TikToker, your favorite guy. TikTok is removing content from their feeds that call out Zionist billionaire and Trump ally Larry Ellison for building a media monopoly. Ellison is reportedly poised to take control of a majority share of TikTok. Right. They're not even allowing people to even talk about and give information on the nature of the sale of the company, which is absolutely insane. And this is from Dropsite News here. TikTok is reportedly escalating a sweeping crackdown on pro-Palestine creators, deleting videos, scrubbing comments, and burying posts about Gaza. Right. This is once again about Erica Mendel, former IDF instructor who now runs the TikTok policy team. And she says her Zionism was, quote, shaped during Operation Protective Edge. I think that was 2014, a ground offensive against Gaza. And yeah, this is just insane, where they're talking about introducing these new community guidelines, banning users from calling the IDF terrorists. We don't have such rules for, any other military or even in the American military, right? You can go ahead and call them terrorists, and that's totally fine. No problem there. And it seems like they're creating special rules. It does seem very odd that, or I think the pro-Israel people, this is, I guess, my advice to them is they should maybe think about, why this is happening versus just this clampdown to say, hey, if you need to make special rules to protect your organizations or your institutions from being ridiculed and attacked, maybe look inward versus, trying to just delete everybody off of the internet. Because I think, in the case of Charlie Kirk, you can see some patterns around, hey, the first thing they do is they try to buy you off, right, through AIPAC and things like that. They try to pay you money to get you to say what you want to say. If you don't, then it's maybe cancellation to say, well, if you don't do this, then we're going to go after everybody that you love, your family, things like that. And then maybe ultimately is to delete you completely off the face of the internet. So I don't know exactly what their plan is going forward, but I think this is really critical, like Jimmy was saying earlier, in that TikTok is where the young people is at. If you see, the number one platform is YouTube, with 90% of teens 13 to 17 on it. But secondly, it is TikTok. So that means that this is where they're getting all their information from. And that's why, when people come at me and say, well, if you get rid of TikTok, you still have X, X is a free speech platform, quote unquote. And I say, well, that's not really critical, because if you see X is way down in the list in terms of active users, you want this type of information, they're really afraid of this type of information to be proliferating on what I would call, more or less kind of a normie platform where, you see cooking videos, you see dancing videos, you see pranks, and all of a sudden, wow, a video about Gaza, and people are like, what the fuck happened here? And so that's, I think, very dangerous to them. And also TikTok, which is a little different than YouTube. YouTube, I think you go on, you watch a video for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. There's not this sort of interactive component to the platform. Whereas if you use TikTok, people on there in the comments, you can reply to a video with another video. Then there's conversations made off of that. So I think that is the part that they're really afraid of in terms of the organic reach of that platform. And this is exactly why they're shutting it down. I don't know if at this point, I was one of the big proponents of wanting to save TikTok just as a platform where free speech can happen, but it's clear that is no longer going to be a prioritization. And so is that even worth saving? And another thing I'll add is that what they're proposing with this algorithm is to essentially create a walled off US portion of the app where the US users are fed certain or on a very particular algorithm that's different than everywhere else in the world, very similar to how China does it. And I think,
well, isn't that interesting, James? All the people who normally scream about communism don't have any problem with this. So we've talked about this on the show before, where capitalism and communism lead you right to the same place. You have no choice, you're censored, and you're ruled by authoritarians, and you have no privacy. So it's kind of amazing. People who scream about communism, the exact same thing's happening under capitalism, if you can call what this is capitalism, and they don't seem to have a problem with it. So hopefully a lot of people stand up and kind of make the same point we're making here, that this in any other situation, this would be called Chinese communist fascist censorship. But I guess because it's individual billionaires that are doing it, I guess that makes it okay, I guess.
I don't know. And then they're framing it as this is critical for, the Jewish community. It's anti-Semitism is running amok on TikTok, and it must be stopped. And it is concerning, because you heard the creator earlier. He was, we're all kind of being forced off of the app, because if we continue to post about these kinds of things, you will be taken off. I was taken off briefly for a week about a month or two ago, just for talking about things. And there's no transparency of what's going on. So you see massive users getting taken off of TikTok. I think you got banned from TikTok as well, Jimmy. I don't know exactly what you were saying on there, but I think I've had at least 2 accounts taken banned from TikTok for sure. And it was definitely about Israel. And it's the most censorous of all the platforms right now. I think things go in waves, right? For a while, it was Facebook, Instagram that was being very censorous. Twitter for a period of time. I think it's kind of ebbs and flows, but certainly right now, TikTok is in that direction where you almost can't say anything at all. I think I'm going to have to start doing cooking videos on there with like subliminal messages in the background or something like that, because it's very difficult for any kind of information, right? Even just reporting the news of, hey, so-and-so is buying this app is not allowed on there, which is absolutely, mind-boggling.
It's every bad thing you thought about China, but it's here in the US of A, home of the free, land of the brave.
Right. I thought we didn't want to be China. I thought China was the worst. and now we're ushering in a surveillance state. We're doing mass censorship, you know, except we don't have the nice trains and and the roads and things like that.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if we at least got free healthcare, good roads, high-speed trains, and an infrastructure that functions? At least they have that in China. We don't get that here.
No, we get the crumbling infrastructure plus the censorship. But you you get to enjoy a nice Dairy Queen after you allegedly murder somebody. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Sam Altman said ChatGPT will get to know you over your life. ChatGPT has the former director of the NSA sitting on their board right now. Edward Snowden called this a willful, calculated betrayal of the rights of every person on Earth. Alexa listens to us and recommends products based on our conversations. Meta retargets us based on our browsing and engagement history. Why do we assume AI is going to be any different? I don't. Introducing Venice AI. Venice AI lets you use AI without handing over your sensitive information. Venice utilizes leading open source AI models to deliver text, code, and image generation to your web browser. There's no downloads, no installations of anything. They don't spy on you or censor the AI. Messages are all encrypted. And your conversation history is stored only in your browser. AI can be extremely valuable, but we shouldn't need to give up our privacy to use it. Their Pro plan unlocks the full platform and features including PDF uploads for summaries of or insights, the ability to turn off safe mode for unhindered image generation, the ability to change how Venice interacts with you by modifying the system prompt, limitless text, and high image limits. So, for instance, I'm going to ask it to do something Grok won't do for me. So I'm going to switch from the text. I'm going to switch to image. Please generate an image of a baby being vaccinated. Now that's something I couldn't get Grok to do. Isn't that weird?
Why? Is that a healthy, good thing?
You would think, oh, here it is. So they just did it for me. So there it is. So that's Venice AI just did it. So if you want to use AI without fear of handing over your most intimate thoughts to a corporation or the government, you can get 20% off a Pro plan using the link venice.ai/Jimmy and use the code Jimmy. Come see me on tour in Hermosa Beach, Sacramento, San Francisco. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.